Hello everyone. I'm Yana and I'm a community manager here at Lenslist. But most importantly, today I'm extremely excited to actually host our incredible guest, who is Horel. And she is not only an talented digital artist, but also she is hosting an exhibition in Paris in Cultural Center Lavoir Numérique. And this exhibition is called Creating on Social Media. So hello, Anna.
Hello.
First question I would like to ask you right away is for people who actually hear about your exhibition for the first time, could you tell something more about this exhibition? What would you like for visitors to actually see in it or get like some sort of emotions out of it? Can you tell us more about your exhibition?
Absolutely. So this exhibition is about creation on social media. So I've been creating on social media using social media tools since 2009. So it's a retrospective of my work on social media since 2009. And I thought of it like a little archaeology of social media and how it has evolved. So everything that is shown from each social media it's frozen in time. So you can actually, when you visit the exhibition, you can actually figure how social media have evolved since the whole walls. So everything is covered in wallpapers with collage of screen captures of all social media. And you can tell that it's like an old version of Facebook. So it's kind of like diving into the history of social media through the lens of my work, basically.
Uh-huh. And in your press kit, you've actually mentioned that this exhibition came, like the idea of it came from one text that you got in your private messages. Is it true? How did it actually evolve into such a big project?
So I received a message from Sheila, who works at the Lavoir Numérique, and we met at Partisan. Partisan is the production company I'm signed in. So they work in chapters, and each chapter has a very specific thematic. And for example, before it was video surveillance. And then now it's creation on social media. And then she instantly thought of me. So she sent me a message on Instagram and I was like, yes. And then the whole process started in 2019. But then, history happened.
Everything happens, exactly.
Yeah. And then it was always postponed. And now finally it is happening. And I'm really happy it's happening right now, actually. It's way, way better in timing.
Yeah, why now? Why do you think
Because
it's better?
during 2020, I started making AR filters. So my work has completely changed and evolved, and it has, a new dimension now. So I'm glad it's now. It's way better.
Because if I understand correctly, you were not always into an AR. So it wasn't your first choice, let's say, of the way you wanted to express yourself. And how did you come to it? Like, why did you decide that AR is actually the best way or one of the best ways?
So I've always used social media as platforms for creation. So each time I'm using social media, I'm always trying to find my place where I can, use some elements of the platform and make it creative, and use it as kind of like an art venue, but in the virtual world. When filters appeared, it was on Snapchat before, actually. It wasn't on Instagram. And I was using Snapchat a lot. Like at this time, it was in 2016. I was actually listed by MTV like the most creative person you should follow on Snapchat.
Ooh.
And one day I woke up, I had like thousands of people following me, and I was like, what? And on Snapchat, I was only making stories. I was using the spectacles and making a lot
Uh-huh.
of interactive emoji stories. But I didn't know you could make filters. And then I was like,
Mm.
oh my God, you can actually make filters. And I didn't, try before it became a thing on Instagram. And then Spark AR was something that was very accessible. And then
Mm.
I was like, okay, let's make a try. And it was only in 2020.
Mm.
And I started the year with making my first filters
Mm.
on Spark AR. And then
Uh-huh.
I became completely addicted. And then, of course, Nin Studio that I discovered
Mm.
afterwards.
So much more to come. And as we've actually mentioned spectacles, I decided that it's a perfect time for me to become a part of your work as well. Not only you have here a cute background, but also I have a cute face now. And as we are touching the field of your art, like since the 2009, I thought that it would be interesting for you to actually share with us how the work process from your side actually has changed.
Yeah, it feels like the funny thing is like it feels like a continuous timeline, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself evolving with my practice, but I don't see any separation, which is weird because there are many different periods, and
Mm-hmm.
I can tell like which state of mind I was at this time, and then this time, and this time, and it just feels like social media and art on social media has um, it kind of taught me uh,
Mm-hmm.
who I am as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the biggest moment was when Vine was around. And
Mm-hmm.
when Vine came out, I was making GIFs, and I was already, you know, making music and music videos. So I was using mostly Facebook and YouTube. And then Vine came out, and I was like, oh my God, I can integrate Vine into my video on YouTube. And then I thought of making documentaries, and then I started making GIFs on Vine, and then it became like my audience got really big on Vine. And
Mm-hmm.
then Vine disappeared, and then I make this documentary about um, like how social media artists should take advantage of their voices, and
Uh-huh.
like how many people are listening to them to, you know, take part of the change that
Mm-hmm.
at least I expect the world, you know, can take, like something positive and something that is each time it's kind of like little jumps from how, and in parallel and in mirroring how I evolve in my head and how I evolve in my practice. And each time the platform is
Mm-hmm.
you know,
A
allowing
new
me.
way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's allowing me to experiment new languages and
Mm-hmm.
connect with people, which is like the most important thing.
Because we scratch the surface of community, like as you know, and as everyone who is watching us knows, like Lenslist is all about creators community. And I was wondering actually, what does the community bring into your art? Because you're definitely a big part of it, but maybe it has some effect on your art and the way you approach your creative process.
Um, the community is like the most important thing on social media, obviously, because it's the core of it. And, you know, having interaction with like-minded people, or even not like-minded people, just like keep the conversation going and to meet other artists. I mean, meeting other artists is probably the thing that taught me the most, and not excluding anyone, and just like connecting other creators, and then you can give each other tips and exchange, and keep the thing that is not a thing of property, but a thing of like exchange, and like, no, I'm not going to share how I make this, but hey, this is how I make this, and let's try it. Yeah, community is it feels like art school a little bit, when I went to art school, and I really liked the flow there. Like, you would go to this place each day, and you would always find people who are creative and who understand you and understand that there are a lot of things going on, obviously, and then you have ideas, and then you're like, oh yeah, I would like to do that, and you never know how exchanging something or the idea with someone will help the idea to develop, and
I totally agree with you. Absolutely.
it's so important, and a simple conversation can completely change your idea. And this is how this is the core of collaboration, and this is why social media is so important in the creative process.
And it's so incredible that actually in this community, as you said, it's all about help and support and like being there for each other.
Yeah, it's, and I haven't seen that since Vine, and I'm glad that I found this again, because when Vine shut down, I was really depressed, and I feel like a lot of creators on Vine were super depressed because it was a family, and I kind of feel this happening again, but it's, the world has changed. It's not the same platforms, and it's way bigger, and it reaches so many more people. So it's another scale.
Because we've mentioned the art, and because both of us have actually like art pieces of yours on our faces, could you tell me your favorite one from your exhibition?
My favorite part in the show is probably there is a little corner. So each wall is, it's movable walls. So each wall is kind of like a little box. And on each side of the box, you have a wallpaper that is a collage all over screen captures or collages. And then on the side, you have wallpapers of emojis, same all over. And so it works kind of like, windows you have open in your browser on internet. And then there is this little corner where there is Snapchat and Instagram, and they are both facing each other. And there is this giant print. There are two giant prints of the filter you were wearing right before.
The before one. Okay, the pizza one.
The pizza buddy one. And then you have another one that is also a pizza buddy, but on Instagram, it's kind of like, usually I make, when I make a filter that I really like on Instagram, I do the same on Snapchat, but obviously it's not the same aesthetic at all.
Yeah.
And so you have these two prints, and then you have a big screen on one wall, vertical, and there is a 1 hour Snapchat story, and it's called A Long Story, and it's a compilation of videos of snaps from 2016 to 2018. So it's a big
it's story. A big story.
And then you have iPads with compilations of filters and some reels, and also there are some Giphy stickers. So there are a lot of things that I'm doing on Instagram, but I like how the composition of it, and I like how it is kind of a little cavern, you know, it's like
Uh-huh.
a little place you can just like enjoy the AR world.
Yeah. But AR is just starting to enter the museums. Oh, hello, hello.
Yeah.
But AR is just starting to enter the museums, as I said. And it's for now, it's maybe just a way to present an offline art in a different way, in just the different spectacles or something like that. And tell us maybe a little bit more about how you actually approach the subject and in what way you present AR to the public. Because as you said, there are iPads and etc. But could you just like tell a little bit more about it?
So there are QR codes pretty much
Uh-huh.
everywhere. They are directly linked to the filters. So, you know, it's funny to think that a few years ago, and we were actually talk about that when we were installing the wallpapers, that a few years ago, flash codes and QR codes were something that was kind of obscure, you know. We didn't know exactly what it
Uh-huh.
was, and especially like the oldest generations. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's something that everyone knows what it is, you know.
Uh-huh.
So it's easy to have this in a museum or an art space and have, you know, a direct link to an AR experience that you can have
Mm-hmm.
on your phone. And to me, the most important thing is, and it's always been a big subject in my work, is how social media can be can actually enter an art space,
Mm-hmm.
because social media is something you have in your pocket, you know. It's
Yeah.
something, you know, it's kind of something that is private, you know.
And
And
it's
then you have
always
this,
there. It's always there for you.
and it's always there for you. Um and on in an art space, it kind of delocalize the, you know, the social media. And I feel like it's important to have the full experience and to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, relate the story correctly, to have something that is in the venue and you can see what is happening, and then have something you can bring with you in your pocket, in your on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like a double space. I like the
Yeah.
idea of having you know, different dimensions cohabiting, because I feel like, you know, the multiverse is actually there. You know, I've used the templates from Snapchat, from
Mm.
a Lens. So there you have all of these different bodies, you know, incarnating these filters. And then for Instagram, it's just like a recording of my filter gallery with all of my
Mm-hmm.
filters. I wanted it to be like kind of like a bit overwhelming because there is
Yeah.
a lot to see there.
Yeah.
It's a very big exhibition
Yeah.
with a lot of things to watch.
Uh-huh.
And that's something I really like. So when I have feedback from people when they watch my videos or they watch my collage, they're always like, "Oh my God, I've seen it like 1,000 times, but I've never noticed this little thing." And I'm like, and each time it works, and each time I have someone
Yeah.
saying, "I haven't seen that," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's been there for since the beginning." You know, it reminds me of, you know, I read cards, I read tarot cards, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's the same thing with tarot cards. When you read cards, each time it's a different narrative. Each time it's a different story. You can like read cards for like 1,000 people, and
Uh-huh.
each time the card would say something else
Yeah.
because
Because it's
of
also part of your hinge and what you actually think this card means this moment. And it's totally different every time.
absolutely.
And have you ever actually thought about being an artist? When you were a kid, did you actually have a thought in your head like, I'm gonna be an artist, I'm gonna create art, and like this is what I actually want to do?
So when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I wanted to be an Egyptologist. That's because I've always
Ooh.
been fascinated with Egypt.
Uh-huh.
Egypt in general, Egypt
Uh-huh.
religion and
Oh yeah, it's so
iconography.
fascinating.
It is really fascinating.
Mm.
Um, but I was this very introvert and shy kid, and I was
Mm-hmm.
drawing a lot. And
Mm.
I was kind of always in my bubble. I was
Mm.
playing a lot, and when I was playing, the fun part was to build stuff. So I would spend like thousands of hours installing little details and piling up. I've never been a minimalist. Like it's something I've
Never.
never.
It's just never been a thing for you.
Who I am. I'm a maximalist. And it's always been like that. So I would spend a lot of time adding little layers and details, and then that was the fun part. And I was
Uh-huh.
drawing a lot. And since I was like maybe like 5 or 4, and when I was 7, I would record some fake radio shows.
Ooh.
Um, and it's always been kind of like, what can I do to, have fun, and create
Uh-huh.
something. And at some point, I was drawing so much
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to be a mangaka. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to learn that because I was a huge fan of Japanese culture, and
Oh.
I grew up with anime. I studied literature for a year, and then I came back to art studies. And at this time, even though I was studying literature, um, I was always having these big necklaces with
Uh-huh.
Barbie heads, and I would make my own jewelries. I had this very extra look, and I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the weirdo in the literature class. And after that, I was talking with a friend, and I wanted to do English studies, and he was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you're super creative. Go to art school." And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I never thought of this. Let's do it.
Your style is incredibly unique, and I would actually love for you to describe it, like to describe what your style is, to say how did you come up with it. As you've mentioned, as I've said as well before, there are some kind of inspirations from Japanese background, but maybe there are even more. Like, what is there? Tell us everything about it.
I always feel like I was also this kid who
Mm-hmm.
was called the sponge. Like I've
Ooh.
always you can put me anywhere and I adapt very
Mm.
easily because we moved a lot also. I was moving every 3 or 4 years. So I was this kid who was always the new kid in town. So I had to adapt very easily.
Uh-huh.
And each time I travel or each time I move to another town, I like to observe a lot. So as I said, I was very introvert, and I still am a little bit like, sometimes what you make is different from what you are, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not shy anymore. I don't consider myself as a shy person, but I like to spend time observing before I can actually express myself. My inspiration comes from anywhere. And I like this image. I keep having this image that is like, to me, the best way to explain my style. It's a video game, a Japanese video game. It's called Katamari Damacy, and it's a little ball like this. So the
Mm-hmm.
king of the universe has destroyed the earth, and then you're
Uh-huh.
this little guy, the prince, and you are on a planet, and you push a little ball, a magnetic ball, and you
Uh-huh.
gather objects, and then you become
Oh,
bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's such a great game. It's my favorite game on earth.
I have to
And
try it.
so it's the best way for me to explain how I work. It's just like an accumulation of
Uh-huh.
and layer of stuff. And yeah, it's like a geology of pop culture.
And you've actually mentioned a couple of times that social media is your main source of inspiration, but is it the only one? Like, could you tell us where you get your ideas from? Because as you said, like the games, obviously, and Japanese culture and the cartoons, obviously, yes. But I mean, like the platforms and all of it. Do you just use social medias, or maybe ideas come in your dreams, for example, or something like that?
They do.
Yes.
It they do. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, and I have to write down this idea, or sometimes I just like wake up and make the idea right away.
I
So
always wanted to have this. I always wanted to have this, really.
it's cool. It's cool. It feels like the universe is providing you
Yeah.
inspiration, and I love that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it comes from movies, obviously, like this one I'm wearing right now. Like I'm a huge. I would also define myself as a screen addict. Like I watch stuff constantly. Like I watch, and ever since I'm a little kid, like I was watching cartoons. I was doing homework, watching
Uh-huh.
cartoons. I mean, it's not a thing I recommend for the younger audience, but,
Obviously, but it happened. Let's
but
acknowledge
I did it.
it.
I did many things I don't recommend, but you have to live your life.
Yeah.
And so yeah, cartoons, movies. I listen a lot of podcasts when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of different things, but it could be also food, toys.
Mm-hmm.
It also obviously comes from the tarot and esoteric and mysticism,
Mm-hmm.
uh, nature, pretty much everything. And it's why I love the image of the katamari, because it is really that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just like gather stuff, and I keep everything I encounter in a day can
Mm-hmm.
possibly become an inspiration. And
Uh-huh.
most of the material I'm using, so I'm mainly doing collage. That's also
Mm-hmm.
an important part to give an idea of what I'm doing. But I'm a collage artist,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the material I've been using is actually the same since many years. And there are some
Ooh.
things, some images that you can find from a video I did in 2020, 2010, no 20, yeah,
Uh-huh.
or 2011. And then in 2020 or 2022 I will have the same image, but it's not in the same place, not used the same way. So there is kind of like a recycling also vibe. And it's also, it's part of internet culture, and most of the images are part of the internet culture. And internet culture is so new, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the more you use, and it's the principle of meme, the more you
Mm-hmm.
use images, the more they enter the collective in conscious,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't know, it's just like sometimes I go for a hunt. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
call this. And I go to find new images, and I just like, most of the time I go on Tumblr, or and sometimes I find little niche, and I'm like, oh my god, this is this
This
is
is
a
it.
good, this is nice.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I have like a library of images, and it's classified by month and years, and I have like a lot of them, like a
A huge
lot.
selections of it.
Yeah, a big
Yeah.
collection.
And do you basically think that the concept of AR will actually eventually change, and as well as its accessibility, its popularity, its acknowledgement? Can we talk about this a little bit more?
I think it's the future. Like I would, it's there is such a big potential that is still untouched, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in the art world. So I feel like I would like to do more collaboration, obviously, because there are some stuff, there is a factor that is super important in creation, especially in digital art, is
Mm-hmm.
the pressure that you can have to be always updating yourself and
Mm-hmm.
learning new softwares and improving your skills. It's a lot of work, and you cannot be over the top on every technique all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I like the idea of finding people I can associate with and create some stuff that are like, okay, you're good at this, I'm good at this, let's make something that is great together,
Yeah.
and that will value each of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to do more collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
I would obviously want to make um, more like environment installations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like in the future, exhibition can be in AR. I don't want to be this person who is kind of completely sold on the metaverse, but no, I'm not completely sold, because I feel like, organic life is very important. It's
Obviously.
complicated to find the right balance between
Mm-hmm.
everything, and adding another thing that is potentially so addictive in our world that is already a little,
Yeah, on the verge, let's say honest.
a little sick. It will be another thing to deal with in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But the potential of having exhibition in the metaverse, and in AR, and also in social media, you don't even need to put on your goggles of virtual reality. It can be, as I said before, in your pocket at
Mm-hmm.
any time, and that's something that is important also, because it's something that is accessible to anyone. And
Mm-hmm.
and so that's also a factor that I find important, is that AR is a way to make art travel. And there is a function on Spark AR. When you look at your filter library, you can see what people are making with it, like reels made by
Mm-hmm.
filters. And I didn't notice this, like I saw it like a few weeks ago, and I watched it. And from most of my filters are used in India, like in villages. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like I make these filters, and then they travel
All around the world.
all around the world, and people are having fun with it. And even though it's not, they are not using it like, oh, I'm using art, it's not something that is like that fancy, but it's more like something that is like fun and playful, and makes them laugh, which is
Uh-huh.
like fantastic to me, because it's such a good, a good energy. um but yeah, it travels around the world, and uh I love that, because it makes also the art world less uh bougie, and
Mm-hmm.
there is something about the art world, the contemporary art, and especially in France. I don't want, to criticize too much, but there are a lot of things to say about contemporary art in general, and especially in France, it's a little bit of retrograde, and kind of like very intellectual. Like it has to
Mm-hmm.
be a very elaborate concept.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it's not valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not this person. I love the idea of, of course there is a discourse, and of course you can, think and conceptualize and exchange and create a conversation about everything, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then even from nothing, and even from the tiniest things, like, and I love the exercise of, having this
Yeah.
intellectual gymnastic. It's great. But sometimes it just can be like something fun and playful and
Mm-hmm.
colorful, and you don't need to add like an extra uh
It doesn't
conversation.
have to be that extra. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be that extra. Like, we can keep it simple.
And I wanted to ask you one more question. I know that it's last, but it's definitely not the least one. what advice would you actually give young artists or maybe AR creators, AR Spark creators that just started their journey? And do you have maybe little secret tips or tricks for them to share, to spill your ideas? Like, can you say something?
I would say like practice as much as you can. It takes time, so don't give up. Don't listen to people who tell you, that's probably the most important thing. Don't ever listen to anyone telling you, oh, that's already done, or it's been done before, or it will never be the same. And, appropriate yourself, like the culture, and make your way into your uniqueness, because you are already unique. So find something that is like screaming inside you that needs to be expressed, and this is your uniqueness. Like, let it out. I would say that, and connect with other artists, exchange. Don't stay, don't be by yourself, because it's a long journey, and having people by your side and a collective, and it can be on social media, it can be in real life, whatever, but having a collective around you will always be inspiring, and it's very important. And also, always take like, there is nothing to protect, that's something I usually say, that artists always have a problem of ego. It's either you have too much ego, either you don't have enough. And it's always a battle between the two things, like having an ego that is like, oh, I'm wonderful, or having an ego that is like, oh my God, I'm such a shitty person. And it's always like that. And don't listen to any of these voices. Like, find a middle line between the two of them, that is like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, and if I don't have success, it's fine, and if I have success, it's fine, but it doesn't define the quality of what I'm putting out there. And the most important thing is to be happy about what you are doing and the process of what you are doing, not how people respond to it, because there will always be haters. Either if you succeed, or if you don't, there will always be one person against like 10 people. You can have like 10 positive feedback, and then you have this one negative feedback. You will always remember that negative feedback. So don't listen to that negative feedback, because it's, it can be constructive and positive, but don't let this negative feedback discourage you. Keep going. But it takes a lot of courage. It's a complicated and complex road, but it's a choice. And once you make that choice, commit to it, and with no pressure. And because, artists are sensitive beings, as each human is, a sensitive being. But, when you put yourself out there, there is something that is always constantly exposed. It feels like you're always naked and you're so vulnerable. And so you need to be prepared to be naked.
Yeah. And many to your advices, honestly, because even for myself, I was just listening to it. I was like, yes, that's the truth. That's the truth. I'm
Welcome
incredibly.
to my TED Talk.
Pardon?
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for being with me on this TED Talk, let's say. And thank you for this interview. Obviously, it was amazing. I hope that you enjoyed, first of all, that you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I wish you lots of successes on your exhibition, obviously. I
Thank
wish it an incredible, enormous popularity because you absolutely deserve it. Your creations, I'm in love with this mask. I'm in love with every effect that I've tried here and every effect that I see every day. They're wonderful. And
thank you
just
so
please
much.
be you and continue be you. And incredibly thank you.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful. And keep going what you're doing. You're such a wonderful platform. And I think any creator will agree with that. I feel like you're having a very good karma here. So keep
Ah,
keep going.
we try our best. Honestly, we try our best and we will try to keep it that way. But without all of you guys, it's just wouldn't be possible.